Let's talk about the mechanism as to why someone might be reactive to everything they eat, drink, or just environmental factors that are triggering their system, causing brain fog, anxiety, wiredness, stress, and so on. So I've been looking into this for the protocol, and in my opinion, it starts with chronic oxidative stress. Or it starts with oxidative stress. And this oxidative stress will make it so you've got this mast cell, right? And in my opinion, mast cell priming, and mast cell priming is that, okay, let's first talk about what is a mast cell. So a mast cell is something for your immune system that helps your body out when it notices. It's basically a defense mechanism that can be activated by certain things, and it will release a variety of mediators, over 1,000, that will cause inflammation, more oxidative stress, but it does that to kill an invader, right? To protect your body. And there's always an activation threshold. So something needs to happen so that the mast cell is then activated, so that it then releases these mediators. The lower the threshold of activation, the more easily it is, of course, activated. And the more easily it is activated, the more you will notice it just in your general life and just everyday things activating your mast cell. So you could be eating your sandwich and then, you know, your mast cell is activating for no reason whatsoever. So that's called the lowering of the activation threshold of the mast cell is called mast cell priming. And it seems that mast cell priming happens when your body has been under oxidative stress. This is a problem. This can very quickly turn into a problem because once the mast cell is activated and it releases its mediators, these mediators will then, with time and actually basically instantly, make it so that the mast cell is further primed. So you're basically then in a self-amplifying loop of the mast cell being primed, it then being activated by everyday things, just the things you could normally eat, you could normally drink. The activated mast cell then releasing its mediators, these mediators causing further oxidative stress and inflammation in the body, and also further priming the mast cell. And this then goes on and on. It's also what I noticed so clearly in myself because I mean I was sick in 2022, quite sick. Before that, I had a very long period of well, what I noticed was reactivity to everything I was doing, to everything I was consuming, and just constant anxiety and brain fog, and all that, just wiredness and stress. I, of course, later found out this was my mast cells firing, but this has now been about 4 years now. And even though this has clearly gotten a lot better, it's not gone whatsoever, right? So in 4 years, I must say it's gotten way better. But the interesting thing is, without the help of certain supplements that I'm taking, I wouldn't really want to go to a restaurant with my family to have fun because I will know, because I know that when I do that, there will be something that I either eat or drink, or there's just something that's added to the food that will activate me and will then again give me brain fog, anxiety, make me kind of wired, make me just not enjoy the whole thing anymore. So why am I explaining this to you? I want you to see the whole mechanism behind the reactivity. Because once we know the thing that's setting, once we know the reason for the reactivity happening, we can then try and solve it. I could tell you to take any supplement in the world and to give you some relief, right? Let's take a histamine blocker. It will work very well because histamine is one thing that the mast cell releases, and something that is very clear and very noticeable in the symptoms that it will give you. And it's also very easily manipulated by taking a histamine blocker, and then in most cases a person will feel better. But this is the perfect example of something of basically what is called symptom reduction. Right? It will make you feel better, but it will not in any way, shape, or form solve the problem that you're having. Because the histamine is still in your body, all these mediators are still in your body, the oxidative stress is still going on, the mast cells are still primed, you will feel better because the histamine blocker does exactly what it says. For histamine to produce symptoms in your body, the histamine needs to bind to a receptor and then it will produce these symptoms. The histamine blocker makes it so that the histamine cannot so easily attach itself to the receptor to cause these symptoms. But it doesn't mean the histamine is gone. You know, in my work, there's a reason why I always tell my patient that a pain medication is also exactly that. Pain is a symptom, and it's also a warning that something is not going right. And a pain medication will lessen the pain, but it will never ever cure you. It will never solve the thing that's underneath causing the pain. And I'm not fully against pain medications like I'm not fully against histamine blockers. They all have their place, right? But symptom reduction can never be the goal of a therapy session, of trying to, well, let me phrase that differently, because symptom reduction is a very important thing in your journey. That's what everyone wants, right? But we need to make the symptom reduction sustainable. And the only way to make symptom reduction sustainable is to find the reason for why these symptoms are there in the first place. We need to dig deeply and find exactly the reason for you why these symptoms are happening. What is the reason for the mast cell priming? What happened in the past? Right? And these are extremely difficult questions. I know for myself, I've always been anxious as a child, very shy, very fearful. I think I also had a lot of brain fog actually in school. And I wasn't really performing in the way I might have if I didn't. These things, and it's so extremely clear to me, and it's why I'm so passionate about figuring this out for myself and also for other people, is that it's such a massive block on the person that you otherwise could be. Right? Imagine where you could be without all these symptoms, without all this fear, without all this anxiety, without all this brain fog, with being to sleep properly. Imagine what you could do. Imagine where you could be. You could be yourself. You could be yourself again. And that has always been my ultimate goal. Just being myself again. Because if you're like me, you will feel that even though your mind is clouded by all these things, you will still feel that inside of you there is that person that's just waiting to be released. I will try and help you with that. I am now very busy these coming weeks on releasing the first version of the protocol. I'll keep you updated. If you've got any questions, just leave them in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon.